come to the end of our one-day retreat program. Not the end of the practice yet. Even today, it's only late afternoon. It's a moon day, Uposita moon day. It's actually a super moon day. Tonight, if you maybe when you get home, you do some walking meditation outdoors. You'll see the super moon. Beautiful moon, a bit bigger, a bit closer to the world than usually is. And the Buddha said, make your mind like the moon. When you see the unskillful thoughts or mental states, what we call akusala dhamma, let them go. And when you let them go, kusala dhamma, the skillful states of mind, arise in their place. So with mindfulness, effort, patient effort, kindness, wisdom, all the good qualities, these are the skillful mental states which come up and brighten your mind, make it more like the moon. As usual, when we had our discussion earlier, there's always someone saying how difficult it is to meditate. Well, it is difficult, and that's why there's not so many enlightened people in the world. But you don't need to think too much about that. Because if you keep telling yourself, oh, it's difficult, well, you won't do it, will you? You'll give up. You got a good excuse. You'll say, oh, I can't meditate because it's too difficult. Notice when you're mindful, nothing is either easy or difficult. It just is what it is. Thoughts come and go, feelings come and go, even pain in your body. It is just what it is when you're mindful. You're not creating any suffering, stress out of it if you're mindful. So then it's just what it is. But when we get lost in our moods, then things might become difficult. We say, oh, I can't do this, too hard, too difficult. We get caught into our worries, fears, or we become more selfish. We all know what that's like when we wake up in the morning and say, I should do some meditation. But then another voice says, but maybe I'll just turn over and sleep a bit more. There's always something else that's easier to do. Follow the desire rather than bring up mindfulness. And this is what we have to learn. This is what you have been learning today. Just to sit still takes effort. You have to pay attention. You may have the desire, oh, enough of this, fed up, I want to go somewhere else, do something else. But if you're mindful, you see it's just a thought, isn't it? It's just a thought that comes and goes. And if you don't follow it, you just watch it, it disappears. That's the nature of thought. The Buddha's word is sankhara. It's sabbe sankhara anicca. All thoughts are impermanent, they come and go. If you keep bringing up the mindfulness and watching, looking, you can see your thoughts come and go. You don't have to follow every thought, every desire. This is where we get the feeling of peace from, and this is where we get our understanding from. When we have a little bit more self-control, more awareness, you get a choice. You can choose to think about that thing that you want to think about, or you can say, no, this is no good, give it up. When there's no mindfulness, we're just a slave to every thought, every feeling, every mood that comes up. We just follow it, grasp hold of it. We're constantly holding on to everything comes into our mind with a sense of self. And that makes us do things. So not only do we think things, but then we go and speak, and then we do. Many of the things we do are good, but when we're not mindful, we attach to what we're doing with a sense of self. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So even meditating, you do that. You're sitting there meditating, so I am meditating, don't bother me. The more you attach even to something like as simple as just watching your breath go in and out, you can still create suffering out of it. When we hear sounds, loud noises, we say, oh, don't bother me. React, blame somebody, get irritated, get annoyed. When all it is just sound coming to your ear and then fading away again. Or you feel something, so if you have a painful feeling, you say, oh, don't come now, I don't want this painful feeling in my leg or my body. But that's all it is, it's just a feeling. Or when you have memories come up, and you're meditating, you can remember something and it triggers a whole train of thought, thinking about something you don't like, something that happened in the past maybe. If you're not mindful, then suddenly you end up sitting there unhappy, miserable, just because you're remembering something that happened that wasn't very good and holding on to the memory. We've all got memories, good memories, bad memories. A lot of our memories are wrong. We remember wrongly or we forget over time. The thing to do is to know when the memory comes up, it's just a memory. Even if it's really traumatic, unpleasant one. What's arising in the past, in the present, is just a memory. The thing that happened is in the past. So in the present moment, we need the mindfulness to know that. Well, this is just a memory. You see how you have a memory, and then one memory leads to another, and another, and we call it by association. We think of one thing, and then we start adding on and remembering other things. Maybe you're sitting here in this hall, totally peaceful, and you remember something that happened at work last week. Maybe you remember what somebody said or did that made you annoyed. So you start to think negative thoughts, for example, and then by association you think, oh, that always happens to me. It's happened so much. It happened last week. Then there was that time last year, it happened as well. It's always happening to me. And you start bringing up all these negative thoughts by association, even though you're just sitting here, totally peaceful, nobody bothering you. can put yourself in a bad mood just by remembering things. This is what we're learning as we practice more mindfulness. You can see what your mind does and how it creates suffering. Or sometimes we believe every thought and we think we know something when we're actually wrong. So sometimes you predict things, think something's going to happen or somebody's going to do something. It hasn't even happened yet, but we're already believing it will happen. And then if it happens, we say, see. If it's a bad thing, we say, see, that's what I told you this was going to happen. If it doesn't happen, then we've already tricked ourselves. Maybe we get disappointed because what we thought was going to happen didn't happen. As you practice mindfulness, you see how your mind does this, creates attachments, desires, follows them, believes them, and often we end up suffering, don't we? I remember one night I was in the forest in a national park in Thailand, and there was a herd of elephants making a lot of noise. So it's quite scary. There's a lot of them and they were making a roaring sound that elephants make as they were eating. They're moving up the hill. I was on top of the hill. And there was a park ranger who knew where I was, and he came. He said, "Oh, the elephants are coming this way. You better move." I said, "How far away are they?" He said, "Oh, at the moment they're a long way away, about 500 meters away." I could hear them, but they were still in the distance. So I said, "Well, I'll wait and see whether I move or not." And he said, No, they're definitely coming here. And if they come, you've had it. They'll just squash you. If they meet a person, they always attack them. It's true, one monk was once killed in that place a few years before me. So he just said, "Well, you think about it." He had other things to do. He didn't want to stay. Off he went. So I sat there on my rock. I was sitting on a rock meditating. It was about 8 p.m. I was just sitting there. Should I move? Should I stay? Should I stay? Should I go? Like a song. But I thought, maybe I'll use it as a chance to watch my mind. You imagine the picture, all these elephants surrounding you, squashing you, hitting you, not liking you in some way. Even though nothing has happened, you just already paint the picture in your mind. This could happen. Could be the end. And they were getting nearer and they're louder, and it was because when they eat, they make a lot of noise, bashing all the vegetation, and crashing the bamboo together, roaring. It sounded like a whole gang of elephants that were really angry. I think it was just their normal noise. And they got nearer and nearer. Should I stay? Should I go? If I stay and then I get stomped, then the park ranger's in trouble because he's responsible for me, and everyone will blame him for not getting me out. So I was a little bit caught up in the doubt, but I thought I'd better just watch this for now because there's no immediate danger. Watch my mind. And of course, in the end, the elephants, after about 4 hours, it was about midnight, and they just walked past me. They didn't come to where I was. They walked a little bit past me and then just carried on going. So I never even saw them. I could hear them. They were very close, but I couldn't see them. And that was the end. Life is like that. A lot of the time you sit there and you think the worst is going to happen, this is the end, or I can't stand it anymore, all the kinds of voices you have in your mind, or you think about someone else, maybe someone else you love, and, oh, what's going to happen to them? But so many times nothing happens, because it's just your thoughts, isn't it? Make you miserable, make you angry, make you upset, make you worried. That isn't to say there aren't things that make us have to act and do things, of course there are. But here we're looking at our mind very closely as we meditate. As you become more aware, you see all the stories you create. It's good like this, it's bad like that. The things that are good, that bring you pleasure, generally you say, oh, this is really good, this is for me, I want more of that. The things that bring you discomfort, discontent, you know, I don't want that, I want to get away from that. You can spend your whole meditation period just imagining what you like, fantasizing about what you like, what you want, and then thinking about what you don't like and what you don't want and how to get rid of it. You go on a big trip all around your mind, and then at the end of the session the bell rings and you're just sitting there, you haven't gone anywhere. You just spent the whole hour just thinking about everything that's good and bad. So this is why meditation is difficult, because you're training your mind to be more aware. And then you have to practice letting go, and some of those things that you cling on to are hard to let go of. It's hard to let go of desire, wanting things all the time. It's hard to let go of ill will, aversion. We have to practice. But the more you see your moods and thoughts as impermanent, the more you can see, I don't need to cling on to this, I can let it go. If you let go of one thing, you know you can let go of another because you've done it before. It's the same with sleepiness. If you're sitting meditation and you're falling asleep, sometimes the best thing is just get up and walk meditation. You might have stronger mindfulness, but if you've let go of sleepiness before, then maybe you just keep sitting with it and working to bring up energy. Bring your mind to the breath, sit up straight. Say, I'm not going to give in to this sleepiness, and you just keep sitting and persevering and working with it until the sleepiness passes. And then you can sit comfortably and your mind is very bright, happy. So sometimes you learn how to push yourself, how to try a bit harder in your meditation. This will help. And you'll learn new things. You can't just give in to the fear or the worry, oh, it's difficult, it's too painful, my mind's not peaceful. Just look and watch and learn, and you may find it's better than you think. This is how all the teachers who have, we say, become enlightened, this is how they practice. They've all been through meditation periods where they were in pain, or they were bored or restless, or they had fear and worry, or they had all kinds of desires that they wanted something but they didn't get it. Very normal. Everyone has to go through this. But all the teachers didn't stop practicing. They just kept watching, learning and letting go until it was all gone. And they put the Buddha's teaching to the test and said, yeah, it does work, you can let go. Greed, desire, anger, worry, fear. You can let it all go. But you have to keep practicing. So in a moment we'll give you a blessing in appreciation of all your good efforts today, because you've all done something very good. Keeping precepts, meditating, chanting, listening to Dhamma. But we'll also, before we give you the final blessing, Jeffrey will lead you in asking forgiveness. It's the traditional way we end the retreat. And then when we give the blessing, you can share the merits of your meditation today with family, friends, and indeed all beings.